Welcome back to Ghost Pirate Entertainment. I'm your host, Kanan Becker, and today I give you 10 more recommendations on Shudder. And let's get to the list!
I don't want to be remembered as a douchebag!
Deadstream is a 2022 found footage horror movie, directed by Joseph and Vanessa Winter and stars Joseph Winter and Melanie Stone. A disgraced internet creator tries to win back his followers by live streaming himself from an abandoned haunted house, but he accidentally unleashes a vengeful spirit instead.
This is the most haunted house in the United States.
Death Manor was built in 1880. Mildred lived here for 8 years in this house. She hung herself at the end of this hall.
This movie is so much fun. It's funny, it's got some gore and camp to it. It starts out in a way that you might be a little annoyed. Like, I know as it was getting going, I was kind of wondering, am I gonna like this? Because this guy is kind of annoying, but eventually becomes in a loving way. So if you stick with it, you start to really care about this character and kind of understand what makes him tick, and that he has this desire so much to get the love and support of all of his followers, to the point where it starts to be detrimental. But just the way this whole movie is shot, the whole style of it, it's just a lot of fun. It's kind of found footage, but it's very different. It's much more like if you were watching Ghost Hunters instead of a normal found footage. There's not this shaky cam thing going on. He has these stationary cameras where he's filming himself. But it goes for it. In a lot of ways, it reminded me of an Evil Dead type of situation because it gets very campy and very just wild. Either way, if you have not seen this and you're looking for a fun Halloween movie, this is an absolutely great pick. Raven's Hollow is a 2022 gothic horror thriller. Written, directed, and produced by Christopher Hatton. It stars Katie Dickey, William Moseley, and David Heyman. West Point cadet Edgar Allan Poe and 4 other cadets on a training exercise in upstate New York. They're drawn by a gruesome discovery to a forgotten community.
I couldn't say what it is. Spirit. Devil. Indians call it bad medicine.
This is a really interesting concept for a movie because it basically takes the poem The Raven, the famous Edgar Allan Poe story, and it puts it into a real life scenario. It's as if the poem was based on real life events that happened to Edgar Allan Poe. And so this movie takes the poem and puts it into this really cool story situation. It's really moody and gothic, which gives it a really awesome look and style to it overall. They did a pretty good job with the special effects. There wasn't really anything that took me out of the movie. It also has a solid cast who all perform really well. In a lot of ways, it's kind of a whodunit mystery, and Edgar Allan Poe plays the detective because he's trying to figure out who is killing these people. He's in this small village, and he knows that someone there knows more than they're saying, and so he's got to be a detective. But it also has some gore and just overall fun horror to it. This is a really entertaining little movie that most definitely should be on your list.
If they want to believe in hell so badly, I'll give them hell. I just want us to be people.
It's not a gift, Izzy.
Then why was it given?
I'm not afraid of you, Izzy.
You will be.
HellBender is a 2021 independent horror movie. Written, directed, and starring John Adams, Zelda Adams, and Toby Poser. The story follows a mother and daughter living in an isolated woodland home, whose relationship is challenged when the daughter encounters other teenagers. This movie is flying under the radar. It's criminal in my opinion, because this is one of my favorite movies of the year. As many fantastic horror movies as have come out this year, this is still in my top 10. It's that good. It's got mood, atmosphere, witchy vibe, the special effects are fantastic. The idea that this family could create this whole entire movie just themselves during lockdown is just mind-blowing. If you've been sleeping on this movie, you need to wake the fuck up and check it out. It's so entertaining, and it really goes absolutely dark at a point. This is a wonderful movie that just oozes this creepy, witchy, dark, gothic-y, weird vibe that is perfect for the Halloween season. It's so good. It's a movie that I highly, highly recommend.
I adjure the old creatures of sorrow.
City of the Dead, or Horror Hotel as it's called here in the States, is a 1960s supernatural horror movie. Directed by John Llewellyn Moxey, it stars Christopher Lee, Venetia Stevenson, and Betta St. John. A young college student arrives at a sleepy Massachusetts town to research witchcraft. But during her stay at an eerie inn, she discovers startling secrets about the town and its inhabitants.
Burn the witch!
This is one of my all-time favorite black and white classics, especially for this time of year. It just oozes that dark, black magic, witchy vibe. Just the way the town looks, the way the people in the town interact with our leading characters, everything about this movie just has this misty, foggy, creepy, atmospheric energy about it. Yet it criminally flies under the radar. All these years since it was released, and yet it's still one that's not talked about. And I've never understood why, because if you enjoy black and white creepy classics, especially for the Halloween season, this is one you absolutely need to see.
Just sheer terror.
The scariest movie that's ever been made.
The 101 Scariest Movie Moments of All Time is a 2022 documentary series. Filmmakers and genre experts celebrate and dissect the most terrifying moments of the greatest horror films ever made, exploring how they were created and why they have stuck into audiences' brains around the world.
There are so many elements that make the perfect horror moment.
This type of documentary just means Halloween for me. Every year I remember being so excited when A&E would put out, I think it was A&E, they would put out these lists and they would talk about the scariest movie moments of all time. There's been so many versions of it, and I'm always there every season whenever there is something like this to just eat it up with a spoon. And this one is so well done. It has all these current people, these people that we admire and appreciate in the horror industry, from actors to filmmakers, you know, everybody, special effects artists, just all these different people. And the more I've got into the genre by doing this channel, the more I appreciate things like this, especially when I get to hear some behind the scenes stuff. So this is a fantastic one that's been going once every week for the last 5 weeks. So I think we're getting week 6. So 7 when this video comes out. So you got at least 6 episodes to catch up on. It's just so much fun. And if you've yet to check it out, definitely get on it.
Why are you doing this? No one's forcing you to stay, but I really hope you do, because today is gonna be a great day.
Speak No Evil is a 2022 psychological horror movie. Directed by Christian Taftdrop and written by Mads and Christian Taftdrop. It stars Fedja Van Hewitt, Morten Burian, Sidsel Simeon Koch, and Carina Smulders. The film focuses on a couple who are invited by a Dutch couple to their country home for a weekend holiday. But the hosts soon begin to test the limits of their guest as the situation escalates.
We have a situation here. Someone left without saying goodbye.
This is a beautifully fucked up movie. It feels very much like a French extremist, nihilistic movie. Even though I don't believe it is a French movie. It's filmed in multiple countries, and most of the dialogue is in English. This is a slow burn that gets extremely dark and uncomfortable, so it's definitely not going to be for everyone, but it is really well done. This is the type of movie that'll just get under your skin and definitely stick with you long after you've seen it. It's not a fun, happy movie. Instead, it's a really dark, depressing, demented story. But as far as a piece of art of film goes, I absolutely loved this movie and highly recommend it. The House of the Devil is a 2009 horror movie. Written, directed, and edited by Ty West, it stars Jacqueline Donahue, Tom Noonan, and Mary Warrenoff. Desperate to make some money so she can move into a new apartment, a college student takes a mysterious babysitting job. After exploring the sinister-seeming home, she soon comes to realize her employers are hiding a horrifying secret.
I feel a little weird just dropping you out here in the middle of wherever we are.
So I've become such a huge fan of Ty West in the last few years, but especially this year, with him releasing X followed up by Pearl, like it's just Ty West year. And they just recently announced that Maxine, the third in the trilogy, will be coming out next year. So with it being Halloween, this movie just jumped to mind, because for a slow burn, artistic, creepy type of Halloween setting, very spooky, cultish, evil creepiness vibe, this is a perfect movie. But it's one that still flies under the radar, so if you're someone that enjoyed X and Pearl and just are really digging that whole world that Ty West creates, this is one of my favorite films that he made that's not talked about. It's spooky, creepy, and just all of the things. It's so atmospheric. It's well acted and beautifully directed as well. If you're someone that enjoys slow burn, atmospheric movies, this is a great pick. Saloum is a 2021 Senegalese horror thriller. Directed by Jean-Luc Herbelat, the film stars Jan Gall, Minter Ba, and Roger Salah. The story revolves around an elite trio of mercenaries that extract a drug dealer and his bricks of gold, but must hide out in a small village to escape, only to encounter a malevolent force that becomes the real threat.
On n'est pas seul. À présent, ils vont venir nous prendre un à un.
What an absolutely unique, entertaining ride this is. Some of the uniqueness has to do with the region and the culture, and just that part of the world feels different and not what I'm used to, but it also has an interesting story and some great characters. I got a little bit of an A-Team vibe from this movie too. Just the camaraderie and uniqueness of each of the characters of this mercenary group. And one of them with the mohawk definitely reminded me of BA. The first half of this movie feels very much like a heist action drama, but then the second half really goes for it and becomes a full-blown horror vibe. I really appreciate the special effects and the entity designs. They were great, just very unique. But man, in the final act, this movie gets weird, creepy, and savage. This is a lot of fun and one I absolutely recommend.
I told you it was Bubba.
No, it wasn't, damn it. Bubba didn't tell you that. Bubba didn't tell you anything. Bubba's dead.
I know.
Dark Night of the Scarecrow is a 1981 made-for-TV horror movie. Directed by Frank DeFelitta, it stars Charles During, Larry Drake, and Tanya Crow. Strange occurrences plague a group of vigilantes who took vengeance on a man wrongly accused of hurting a child.
Come on. Looks like they lost him. That's impossible. Same as he did last time.
Well, they think it's a scarecrow.
This is an absolute classic that gets very little to no press, but it's really entertaining. It's campy and definitely dated, but that just gives it charm. I really enjoyed that it's a slasher, but it has a real story to tell and some depth to that, at least more than you see in most of the early 80s slashers. It's not really gory because it's made for TV, but it does get very creepy at times, and it does show you these brutal kills, just not the blood per se. I just think it's a great movie to curl up on the couch with a blanket to during the Halloween season. So definitely check it out.
Hey, I didn't even gag.
Vicious Fun is a 2020 Canadian comedy horror movie. Directed by Cody Callahan and stars Evan Marsh, Ari Millen, and Gillian Richings. A horror film critic finds himself in a sticky situation when he stumbles into a self-help group for serial killers.
Need a ride?
As far as I can.
Hop in.
The premise of this movie just feels like a punchline to a joke. This movie is so wild, so campy, it's just silly, but it also has a lot of gore and some brutal kills. It's so colorful and creative and wild. It has a fast-paced tempo to it. It's really just an entertaining movie. The entire cast have so much charisma, and they're all created with these very unique killer MOs. Like each one just has their own style, almost like a serial killer version of a G.I. Joe. But I especially love Julian Richings' character. I have always been a big fan of his ever since he was Death on Supernatural. And so anytime I get to see him star in a movie, I'm over the moon. But he is so much fun to watch in this. Just this wild, zany character. But this is not the kind of movie to take serious at all. It's just a fun popcorn horror movie for a Saturday night. So you know the drill. Grab your popcorn and your candy and enjoy. I want to give a huge, massive, enormous thank you to my patrons. You guys have been growing more and more lately, and I appreciate you so much. And if you would like to find out more about becoming a patron, the link is down in the description. And like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button. And remember, guys, horror can be fun. If you enjoyed this, click right here for 10 more recommendations. And I'll see you guys next time.